All right, we saw a lot of action in the NFL, and surprisingly, the Dolphins weren't big movers and shakers. We've got some free agents. I think James Daniels is a big piece, possibly. I think he's a clear, huge upgrade. Obviously, we added Zach Wilson, Larry Borum, Ifiatu Melifonwu. That was a bastardization of saying that name, I'm sure. And Elijah Campbell we brought back, and Quentin Bell. That's the roundup for this morning and late last night. I'm going to get into it, but I'm mostly going to focus on Daniels. I think he's a big upgrade. Part of it is a double-sided sword because Eichenberg and Jones were so low. Jones more so for our scheme than his ability. Eichenberg just, flatline stinks. So it is a huge upgrade, but he kind of says some things, both good, mostly a little curious, and then the direction of the team, I think, is very clear by this addition. So that's the whole deal, guys. I've been sick. My little one, I'm like tied to him like this. My wife had him, and she had to go to work in the airlines, so I had to be his mommy and daddy. So he was been sick for the last week, and he wanted daddy to sleep with him. I slept with him, and I'm sick. So I'm going to get film out to you tomorrow in a no BS study of James Daniels. Today, it's just going to be me talking and telling you my observations. Sorry about that, but it's one of those things. So, like, subscribe, and all that stuff keeps me busy. Please help me out with that. Will Freeze, if you'd noticed in one of my podcasts a couple days ago, I've been saying this since 2022 with Hunt. I said, we better sign him because that market's going up, and Ingrid didn't think so. But Will Freeze is a guy we kind of looked at. I said, this guy might be getting some big money. 5 years, $88 million, 17.5 per season. We are so out of the offensive line market. We've got to get these low grade guys, and we didn't really stock things up. We did with Paul, but we should have been adding offensive linemen, understanding the direction of this cycle. We didn't, and we got caught with our pants down. I think Sheriff is still a guy on for us, and I think if you put Sheriff and Daniels together, it could be an upgrade. I'm not saying it's going to take us to the top, but it will be a clear upgrade from last year. So let me get into it. From what I'm seeing on film, I'm a couple games in. I'm going to finish out his season last year, which was abbreviated, and I'm going to go back and check some stuff from the previous season. But what I'm getting is this guy has the best stance I've seen for a 330 pound guy. He is got his behind down. He looks like he's ready to launch, and he pops from his stance almost instantaneously. And that's going to play big for what we want to do. Adds to his skill set, but it's pretty impressive. Now, he does dump guys with leverage. So sometimes he'll get the leverage on a guy, and he'll get a little aggressive and dump them down, and that's a nice thing. It kind of ties into his finesse ability. He's patient in pass protect. A lot of times I saw him at guard. He was right guard. He had his hands on both the tackle and the center, and he was patient and waiting, rotating the swaps and switches. I thought he did a really, really good job in his pass protection for the most part, and I think he's going to do a great job tying in Brewer and Jackson. Whenever Jackson shows up, I think he should be here. So that's a really good thing. He's very patient. He also could true pass set, which we couldn't really get with Eichenberg. Sometimes he gets driven back a little bit, but the last minute he managed to kind of lock him out, buckle the lower body and the hips and the back, and kind of freeze him out. Sometimes he makes a few mistakes. He's not perfect. He's not elite, but he is a huge, huge upgrade. He maintains his blocks on OZ, and he can actually get to that second level. He doesn't get thrown off so easily like Eichenberg did. And so I like all the things that he brings in running the scheme we have. His second level ability, he can get there. Sometimes he doesn't dial it in like, say, Brewer can, but he's pretty good. But I'm going to get into the cons now. And the cons are a little tied into how does he recover from this Achilles? Achilles is the worst injury you could possibly have in football. It is so difficult to return from. So is it going to slow him down a little bit? Is he going to be 100%? Is he going to be 99%, 95, 89? I don't know. And that is a big unknown. But he's $8 million. If Will Freeze is getting 17.5 and he's getting 8, then teams out there were saying that's the value. He didn't come here for $8 million because he just wants to be here. That was his value. There is a downside to him, but not many. He is a big upgrade, like I said. So how does this Achilles play out? He does struggle in drive blocking. Biggest thing for me is the red zone, inside zone. He could do inside zone. He'll pop up and he'll turn a guy and just roll him off. But this is usually when there's a lot of leverage. When it gets tight and he's got to really drive a guy off, there's a little bit of problem. So he's not really great at managing big guys. He's a finesse guy. He's a little tentative in his blocking. He'll block a guy and he's kind of watching his feet. He's not really overly aggressive. If he's got him, he'll dump him, but he's not that's not a bad thing, but he's very protective of himself and he's not overly aggressive. Like I said, he can get to the second level. Sometimes he misfires. Still much better than Eichenberg, much better than Jones. And the power size thing. So he struggled a little bit with Jared. He had some good plays and some bad plays. And then the next two games I watched him against against Denver and the Chargers. And they got kind of a small interior. And so he had a pretty good time for the most part in the Chargers and the Denver game. Jarrett is not big. He's 305, but he's 6 feet tall, but he's stocky and he has power and he had a little bit more problems there. I'm going to go check to see how he does against the big boys, and that will be very interesting. I'll have that resolved for you tomorrow. So that's the whole package. This guy's a clear upgrade. I mean, huge upgrade. I think that he's going to accentuate us against the average teams, the slightly above average teams, certain fronts that are smaller fronts. I think he might get us out of that high leverage look on occasion. But against the bigger fronts, the better defenses, and in the red zone, and when it gets tight, I don't know if Jackson, Brewer, and then Daniels are going to be able to drive guys out. I think they'll do a better job than with Eichenberg there, but I don't know if it's enough to take it to the next level. But there's a lot of things involved in this. So I think he's a quality pick, a little bit of a risk. But then when you look at the rest of the free agency, Wilson, I get it. You know, you're taking a shot on a guy who's a first-round draft talent, but $6 to $10 million guaranteed. Borum's going to move inside. Remember, we throw so fast that some of the issues he has with agility and picking guys up, it's not going to be the same. He's going to kind of take the Robert Jones job. But he's not Robert Jones with power. He's a big guy. You see him. He's just a big marshmallow with thin arms. So I'm not really too hot to trot on that, but you can move off him maybe. I don't know if he's here for the full thing. Vital Melanfua, the guy from Detroit. He's pretty big. He's like 6'2", 6'3". He's going to play that safety, cornerback role. Weaver likes that with the McDonald's scheme. He's okay, but again, he's got injury history. You got the injury history on Daniel. You got the injury history on Chubb. You get the injury history on Phillips. You get the injury history on him. I don't know. And then you got Ramsey getting older. It's a little bit of a risky move, but that's what he likes. Quentin Bell. I think the addition of Quentin Bell says we're not going for Bosa because 49ers are bidding on him, and it's roughly the same. So he's going to want to go play with his brother. They seem to be more geared towards success. So I think the Quentin Bell move says that Bosa's not going to be on our chart. We got Elijah Campbell to go with Meli Fanawu. And so that looks like we've got placeholders and maybe some guys that will be depth. But there's still a lot of work to be done. We still have a lot of money. There's a lot of good guys left in free agency. But clearly we're not shooting for the stars. Doesn't mean we can't. If you get a team that plays really well together and works hard, it can uplift the mean of the talent level and allow those pop high points to accentuate themselves. I'm not saying that's going to happen. We've got a long way to go. We got to add some DI talent. I think we definitely got to add some more guard talent. We definitely got to get another tight end in here. We got to get some linebackers, safeties, cornerbacks. But it does beg to question what's the goal, real goal, not our goal, not the perceived goal from us to them, but what's the real goal for the season? We'll see by how the rest of the season plays out, this offseason plays out, and we'll see. It's not going to be an easy season. It's going to be uphill. Let's see how it plays out. But Daniels is a very nice addition if he stays healthy. Unfortunately, he doesn't uplift all of our weaknesses, but it looks like we're leaning into this zone stretch, finesse style, and he does accentuate that. So, Curtis saying, be well, go Fins, Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.